Welcome to Reliable Prepper, your go-to resource for all things survival, preparedness, and self-reliance. Today, we're tackling a topic that's becoming more relevant with each passing day: sudden civil unrest and the dangers of angry mobs. It's the kind of scenario that can emerge out of nowhere, turning what seems like an ordinary day into a life-threatening situation. Most of us hope we'll never have to face this kind of chaos, but the truth is, it's better to be prepared than caught off guard. In this video, we'll delve into the various scenarios that could lead to civil unrest, from social injustice and economic instability to natural disasters and misinformation. We'll also give you actionable steps to protect yourself, your family, and your property if you ever find yourself in the middle of such a situation. We're covering everything from securing your home, knowing what to do if you're away from home when unrest breaks out, to staying informed during a crisis. Whether you're a seasoned prepper or just starting to think about preparedness, this video is packed with valuable information that could one day save your life. So stick around, and if you find this content helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more tips on how to stay safe in an uncertain world. Let's start by looking at the various scenarios that can trigger angry mobs and sudden civil unrest. These situations often develop quickly, catching people off guard. Understanding the potential triggers can help you recognize when things might turn violent. Social injustice and police actions are some of the most common and volatile triggers for unrest, especially when people perceive a serious injustice. A prime example of this is the killing of George Floyd in 2020. What began as peaceful protests against police brutality quickly escalated into widespread riots. Minneapolis and Portland, among other cities, were engulfed in chaos, with looting, fires, and violent confrontations between protesters and law enforcement. The situation spiraled out of control so fast that many residents found themselves in danger within hours. Economic instability can also push people to the brink. When they struggle to make ends meet and the economy falters, desperation can lead to protests, looting, and violence. Venezuela's ongoing crisis is a stark reminder of this. Years of hyperinflation, food shortages, and unemployment have driven people to the streets in mass protests, which often turn violent. Citizens clash with government forces in a desperate fight for basic necessities. This kind of unrest can be particularly dangerous because it's fueled by a lack of resources. When people are starving or can't provide for their families, they're more likely to resort to violence. Natural disasters can create conditions ripe for unrest. Take Hurricane Katrina in 2005, for example. The hurricane devastated New Orleans, leading to a complete breakdown of law and order. With emergency services overwhelmed, looting and violence became rampant. The chaos that followed wasn't just due to the storm itself, but the lack of preparedness and the slow response from authorities. People who were already vulnerable found themselves even more at risk, not just from the disaster, but from their fellow citizens. Political unrest and controversial elections are also major triggers for civil unrest. Highly contested elections or political upheavals can spark protests that spiral into mob violence. When citizens feel that their votes or voices aren't being heard, frustration can boil over into demonstrations that sometimes turn violent. The 2009 Iranian election protests and more recent protests in the U.S. surrounding various election outcomes are prime examples of how political discontent can quickly turn into civil unrest. Fuel shortages can cause tensions to rise rapidly. Imagine waking up to find out there's a sudden shortage of gasoline or other essential fuels. People desperate to secure fuel for their vehicles or generators might start lining up at gas stations, leading to conflicts and even violent confrontations. Fuel shortages don't just affect transportation. They can also impact the delivery of essential goods, leading to further unrest. Food shortages can be another trigger for chaos. When access to food becomes limited, whether due to supply chain disruptions, natural disasters, or economic collapse, panic can set in. Supermarkets may be looted, and violence can erupt as people compete for scarce resources. The situation in Venezuela, where food has been scarce for years, shows just how dangerous food shortages can become. People have raided food trucks, looted stores, and clashed with others in a desperate bid to feed their families. Mass layoffs and rising unemployment can also lead to unrest. When large numbers of people suddenly lose their jobs, frustration and anger can boil over into protests or even riots. This is especially true if there's a perception that the government or corporations are to blame. We've seen this in various parts of the world, during economic downturns, where desperation leads to widespread protests and sometimes violence. Rumors and misinformation in today's digital age can spread like wildfire, leading to panic and mob behavior. During the COVID-19 pandemic, misinformation about the virus and lockdown measures led to protests and, in some cases, violent confrontations. When people are scared or uncertain, they're more likely to act on rumors, which can quickly escalate into violence. All these scenarios highlight how a stable situation can descend into chaos with little warning. That's why it's crucial to be aware of these triggers and be prepared to act swiftly if you find yourself in the midst of such a situation. Now that we've discussed some scenarios that could trigger sudden unrest, let's dive into what you can do to protect yourself and your family if you ever find yourself in such a situation. First, let's talk about the physical security of your home. When a mob is on the move, your home could become a target, especially if you're in an area where tensions are high. So, how do you make your home less vulnerable? Start by reinforcing all entry points. Install heavy-duty deadbolts on all doors and reinforce door frames with metal plates. Consider installing door braces or bars that can be quickly deployed during an emergency. This simple step can make it significantly harder for anyone to break in, giving you precious time to react. For windows, shatter-resistant films or security bars can be game changers. These additions prevent easy access and can deter would-be intruders. Sliding doors and windows are particularly vulnerable, so make sure to secure them with dowels or metal rods in the tracks to prevent them from being forced open. Next, consider setting up barricades. Keep materials on hand that can be quickly used to block entry points. This could include plywood sheets, heavy furniture, or custom-built barricades. Practice setting these up with your family so that everyone knows how to secure the home quickly if needed. The goal is to buy time and make your home a hard target. Let's not forget about the security of your perimeter. A sturdy, high fence can help keep mobs at a distance, but don't stop there. Plant thorny bushes or dense shrubs around the perimeter of your property to create an additional barrier. These natural defenses can slow down or deter intruders. Motion-activated lights are another great deterrent. They not only alert you to movement outside, but can also scare off potential intruders. A loud security alarm is also a must. Choose one that's audible both inside and outside the house to alert you and deter intruders. It's also important to have non-lethal defensive options on hand, like pepper spray, a stun gun, or a tactical flashlight with a strobe feature. These can incapacitate an attacker long enough for you to escape or take further action. And if you own firearms, make sure that everyone in your household who may need to use them is trained and understands how to use them safely and legally. Store firearms securely but in an accessible location during times of unrest. Now, let's talk about having a solid evacuation plan. Sometimes, despite your best efforts to secure your home, it might become necessary to leave. Identify and secure secondary exits from your home in case the main entrance is compromised. This might include back doors, windows, or even a hidden exit if you have one. Practice using these routes so that everyone in your household knows how to evacuate quickly. Prepare a bug-out bag for each member of your family. These should include essentials like water, non-perishable food, a first aid kit, flashlights, batteries, a multi-tool, important documents, and extra clothing. Keep these bags in a designated, easily accessible location so you can grab them and go at a moment's notice. Finally, you need a communication and coordination plan. In the chaos of civil unrest, staying in touch with your family is critical. Make sure all family members know how to contact each other in an emergency. Establish a meeting point if you get separated, and consider using walkie-talkies or two-way radios if cell service is unreliable. Keep a list of emergency contacts, including neighbors, friends, and local authorities. Share this list with your family members, and make sure everyone knows who to call if they need help. By the way, if you're finding this information helpful, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. We cover a wide range of topics designed to help you stay prepared in an uncertain world. Now, what if you find yourself caught in the middle of a sudden unrest situation while you're away from home? This is a scenario that many people don't think about, but it's just as important to be prepared for. First and foremost, always stay aware of your surroundings. If you're in a crowded place and notice tensions starting to rise, whether it's a protest, a public event, or even just a busy area, pay attention to any signs of escalating violence. For instance, if you see a crowd starting to gather or notice an increase in police presence, These could be indicators that things are about to take a turn. If you sense danger, leave the area immediately. Don't wait for things to get out of hand. If you're caught in a crowd, your primary goal should be to avoid being trapped. Move towards the edges of the crowd, where you have a better chance of finding an escape route. Keep your hands up to protect your chest and maintain your balance, and avoid pushing against the crowd, as this can lead to trampling or injury. In situations like this, panic can spread quickly, so staying calm and moving with purpose can make all the difference. Identify potential safe places to take refuge if needed, such as a nearby building, store, or even a vehicle. If you can't get home safely, consider sheltering in place in a secure location until the situation calms down. Always have a mental map of safe locations wherever you go. This could be as simple as noting the nearest hotel, restaurant, or police station. Communication is key. If you're caught in an unrest situation, try to let your family or loved ones know where you are and what's happening. Keep your phone charged and carry a portable charger if possible, so you can stay in touch and access emergency services if needed. Consider using a messaging app with end-to-end encryption for secure communication, especially if you're in an area where you're worried about privacy or surveillance. If you're driving when unrest breaks out, avoid the urge to push through crowds or roadblocks, as this can escalate the situation and put you in more danger. Instead, try to find an alternate route away from the chaos. Use navigation apps to find the quickest and safest way out of the area. If your vehicle is surrounded, remain calm, lock your doors, and avoid making eye contact with agitators. If the situation becomes too dangerous, abandon the vehicle and seek safety on foot. Keep a go bag in your car with essentials in case you need to leave the vehicle quickly. Finally, if you're unable to avoid being caught up in a mob or violent crowd, do your best to blend in and avoid drawing attention to yourself. Stay quiet, keep your head down, and move with the crowd until you can find a safe opportunity to break away. Avoid wearing anything that makes you stand out, and try to keep a low profile. The goal is to get out of the situation as safely and as quickly as possible. Staying informed is key to staying safe during civil unrest. Here's how you can ensure you're always up to date and well supplied. First, regularly check local news sources, follow reliable social media accounts, and use apps like Citizen or Nextdoor to stay informed about what's happening in your area. Set up alerts on your phone for breaking news or emergency updates so that you're not caught off guard. Information is power, and in a rapidly changing situation, being informed can give you the edge you need to stay safe. When it comes to supplies, it's crucial to be prepared to shelter in place for an extended period if necessary. Start by stocking up on enough food, water, and medical supplies to last at least 2 weeks. Focus on non-perishable items like canned goods, dried foods, and freeze-dried meals. Make sure to store plenty of water, at least 1 gallon per person per day. You should also have a method of water purification, such as a filter or purification tablets, in case your water supply becomes compromised. Don't forget about backup power sources. Invest in a generator, solar panels, or a battery backup system to keep essential systems running, such as refrigeration, heating, and communication equipment. Keep extra batteries on hand, and consider investing in a hand crank or solar-powered emergency radio to stay informed during power outages. Having a way to generate your own power can be a lifesaver during extended disruptions. Mental preparedness is just as important as physical preparedness. In a crisis situation, staying calm and alert is crucial. Understanding the behavior of mobs, which can be unpredictable and escalate quickly, is essential for making informed decisions. Practice situational awareness. Stay aware of your surroundings and be ready to adapt to changing circumstances. Remember, panic can be contagious, and staying calm under pressure is one of the most valuable skills you can have in a crisis. Finally, routine drills and practice are key. Practice what you would do in a crisis with your family, so that everyone knows their role and can act quickly if the time comes. Whether it's practicing an evacuation route or setting up a barricade, having a plan and knowing how to execute it can make all the difference in an emergency. Remember, the more prepared you are, the better your chances of staying safe during an emergency. If you haven't already, now is a great time to subscribe to Reliable Prepper for more tips and strategies on how to stay prepared in an uncertain world. Now let's dive into one of the most critical decisions you may face during a period of civil unrest. Should you bug in or bug out? Knowing when to stay put and when to evacuate can be the difference between staying safe and putting yourself in harm's way. So let's break it down in a way that's easy to understand. Bugging in means staying at home, fortifying your position, and waiting out the unrest. It's usually the best option when your home is secure. If you've taken the time to reinforce your doors and windows, set up barricades, and stockpile essential supplies, your home can become your stronghold. It's where you're safest, especially if the danger is more external and hasn't reached your immediate area. Imagine a situation where unrest is happening downtown, but you live in a residential neighborhood. The threat might be significant, but it's not directly on your doorstep. In this case, staying home could be your best bet, especially if law enforcement is actively working to control the situation and it seems likely to be short-lived or contained. Your home, with all its reinforcements, offers you a level of security that you won't have out on the streets. On the other hand, there are times when staying home simply isn't safe, and that's when bugging out becomes necessary. If there's a real and immediate danger, like mobs moving through your neighborhood, or if you're hearing about looting or violence close by, it might be safer to leave. The last thing you want is to be caught off guard, thinking the danger won't reach you, only to have it on your doorstep faster than you expected. Another crucial factor to consider is your supply levels. Let's say the unrest drags on longer than expected and your supplies start to run low. You're running out of food, water, or medical necessities, and there's no clear end in sight. At this point, bugging out might be your only option to ensure your survival. You need to get to a safer location where you can access the resources you need. There's also the scenario where the unrest isn't just a local problem, it's widespread and shows no signs of calming down. Maybe it's not just your city, but multiple areas that are affected. In cases like this, staying put might not be the best idea. You have to weigh the risks and consider whether leaving now could prevent you from getting trapped in an even more dangerous situation later. Deciding whether to bug in or bug out isn't always black and white. It requires a calm assessment of your surroundings, your resources, and the evolving situation. You have to consider where you are, where you would go, and whether you can get there safely. And remember, the decision to leave isn't necessarily final. You might need to evacuate temporarily and return home once it's safe. The most important thing is to have a plan in place before you need it. Know your evacuation routes, have a destination in mind, and make sure your family is on the same page. Communication is key, so everyone knows what to do if you decide it's time to go. And always have a backup plan, because in times of unrest, things can change in an instant. As we wrap up this video, let's quickly recap what we've covered today. We've explored the various scenarios where sudden civil unrest can erupt, whether it's from social injustice, economic instability, natural disasters, or even misinformation. We've also discussed the critical steps you can take to protect yourself and your family, from securing your home and having an evacuation plan, to staying informed and knowing what to do if you're caught away from home. The bottom line is this: civil unrest can happen anywhere at any time and often without warning. But with the right preparations, you can significantly reduce your risk and increase your chances of staying safe. So, what's the next step? Start by assessing your current level of preparedness. Do you have a plan in place for each of the scenarios we've discussed? Are there areas where you could improve your security or emergency supplies? Take the time now to make those preparations, because when the time comes, you won't want to be scrambling to catch up. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with others who might benefit. And don't forget to subscribe to Reliable Prepper for more content designed to help you stay prepared and stay safe. Thank you for watching Reliable Prepper. Stay safe, stay informed, and most importantly, stay prepared.